Hello everyone, I am gonna talk about conditional probability, which I wanted to have the time today in Zoom and we kind of got a little bit over, and I want to clarify this as well because it is part of your project and it's something for you to understand, okay? Actually, when I was talking about at the very end about the Titanic accident and considering how many people in first class, there were first class passengers survived out of all the first class passenger, so we saw that that's 60%. But when you consider how many people survived overall from first class, that wasn't the same percentage. So it's important to understand the distinction between those two probabilities. So a conditional probability is the probability that you calculate after a certain event has occurred. So in our Titanic example, that would be the probability that a first class passenger survived, given the fact that you're looking at all first class passengers and not the entire number of passengers on the ship. I hope that makes the distinction in here, okay? It's a fine point. All right, so conditional probability is a probability that occurs. So it's a probability that some kind of event occurs after something happened. Another event happened. I am so sorry about the ugly writing. But that's our example when we're looking at first class passengers on Titanic out of all the first class passengers and not out of this entire population, out of this entire number of passengers. Okay? So after something happens, so you have like a different number of outcomes. Okay? All right. So let's look at two examples in here. They were in an earlier sample in your resource folder from the last 2 weeks. So let's look at two events that have nothing to do with each other. They are mutually exclusive. Drawing an ace and a queen, okay? So far questions A and B they're not necessarily conditional probability. What's the probability of drawing an ace? 4 out of 52. What's the probability of drawing a queen? 4 out of 52. What's the probability of drawing a queen and an ace at the same time? Well, you see those circles don't touch. It's an exclusive event. Exclusive. The probability of queen intersect with ace, that means and, happen at the same time, is 0, right? What's the probability of drawing an ace given that you drew a queen? So our selection are 4 queens, so that's now the entire deck of cards. And now out of those queens, how many of them are ace? Are none, right? So that's a 0. Are drawing an ace and a queen mutually exclusive events? Yes, we established that. Okay, so this is how conditional probability will work for a Venn diagram with mutually exclusive event. What if they're not mutually exclusive? Okay, so here's kings and spades. What's the probability of drawing a spade? Well, that's 13 out of 52. What's the probability of drawing a king? 4 out of 52. A king and a spade, that's only one card. That's the king of spades. 1 out of 52. What's the probability drawing a king given that you draw a spade? So notice that those two things are not the same thing. Or it's not saying draw a spade, replace it, or down replace it, and what's the probability of getting a king after that? They're not two separate draws. I mean, be careful. So you draw spades. That means there's 13 possibilities of kind of spades you have in there. And then how many of those spades are kings? Just 1. What's the probability of drawing a spades given that you drew a king? Well, kings, there are 4. And then probability of drawing a spades, well, how many spades are kings? Just 1 also, okay? Are the probabilities in D and E the same? No, because you're dividing by different numbers, right? Okay, and you can see that. Are drawing the spade and a king mutually exclusive? No, we already established that, okay? So overall, if you want a formula, the probability of event B occurring given that A has occurred, so that means only A is considered, is there's a formula here. Probability of A intersected to B out of the total divided probability of A out of the total, but essentially it's just kind of counting the outcomes for both events happening and just A happening. So hopefully that made sense. I am going to post this soon, and also I'll follow up with the sample project video. My best.